have the honor of introducing our guest speaker today. Lori Carter is a SCSAMA certified medium and teacher. She enjoys serving spirit through teaching classes, working publicly and privately to assist those in need through her mediumship, and writing, whether it be for her weekly blog, which can be found on her website, fromtheethers.com, or for Sunday service. In her previous life, she wrote for newspapers and magazines for 20 years. She's in the process of writing her second book, The Playground, and has written a novella, The List, a compilation of short stories. It Happens, and The List, a compilation of short stories, and co-wrote the book Two Worlds. All are available in the bookstore. Please welcome to the platform, Lori Carter.
And so before I get started with my little talk, I noticed that Jamie did not introduce my daughter as the singer, Sydney Carter. Yay! Thank you so much. And of course, we all appreciate Eva Byard as well. And so how many of you have a junk drawer at home? Yeah, I get it.
I have two.
And so my junk drawer is my closet. Yeah, and it includes 17 boxes, which are neatly stacked. There are 5 or 6 in my bedroom, 3 or 4 in my kitchen, and you know what? That's a lot of stuff for just one person. And I'd have to say I'd whittle my junk down a few boxes, and then somehow I'd gain a few more back. My daughter, isn't she beautiful, has promised to help me go through the boxes yet again. She's super good at helping me declutter my belongings. I can tell you at least 6 or 7 of those boxes are filled with newspaper articles that have my stories in them.
What a surprise.
Right? And seriously, what am I going to do with those one day? Am I going to take them out and read them again? I think my kids might even have a bonfire after I leave the earth plane, and their way of celebrating me, I guess. And at least I can say I stopped saving my newspaper articles after 10 years into my 17-year career. I did save the really good ones though. So how many boxes upon boxes at home do you have too? I'd like to think my 17 boxes aren't that big of a deal, but they are. I've had boxes for years and years and years and have only gone through maybe 4 or 5 of them. I think it's time that I decluttered my life again. It's always a good thing to do periodically. Clutter is defined as a collection of things lying about in an untidy mass. I have to say my mass of boxes are very tidy. However, it is clutter. Some things that are super hard to let go of. When my dad left this earth plane in 2006, my sisters and I split up his guns, and I decided that I had to haul his gun cabinet down here from Wisconsin to Florida. I just had to have it because I love my dad so much, and I still do. And so at one point in my life, I came to the conclusion that I could no longer bring the gun cabinet with me. And it was hard. I have to say it was super hard. I allowed myself a cry or two and found someone to take it. A fireman EMT who had a wife and 3 children, same as my dad. And I knew that fireman and EMT didn't have much money, so I just gave it to him. And during that time, I was awakened. I'm not really sure if this was a dream or if it really happened. I saw my mother's familiar flannel nightgown with the pink little roses pattern in it, now rubbing my forehead and my head while I slept to comfort me. When I noticed her, she disappeared, and that's the way it almost always happens. And I looked over my shoulder to see 2 orbs leaving my room. I believe that was my mom and dad, letting me know that it was okay to do that. We have such an emotional attachment to things. Did you know that clutter increases your stress, which is a lower level vibration? According to a study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, people with cluttered homes full of unfinished projects were more depressed, fatigued, and had higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol than those who describe their home as restful and restorative. Clutter has negative effects on your mental and physical health too. It can leave you feeling anxious, stressed, or even depressed. Again, all lower level vibrations. Research shows that cluttered homes and work environments take a toll on your brain, your mental well-being, and your overall health. Truly, what is decluttering talking about? There's so many natural laws around it. Remember our Declaration of Principles in Spiritualism, the one principle we read earlier. We affirm the moral responsibility of the individual, and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. Nature's physical and spiritual laws, the latter being natural laws. Cause and effect isn't just about every single thing we do. Every action has an appropriate reaction. Think about that when you're decluttering your life. Another law around that is the law of detachment. So my go-to book, and I left it at home, my go-to book when it comes to natural laws is Marilyn Autry's River of Life, How to Live in a Flow.
Oh, I know that.
And we have that in our bookstore, just so you're aware. In the book, it says the law of detachment declares in order to acquire anything in the physical universe, you have to let go of your attachment to it. Think about that in decluttering your life. She goes on to say attachment can be explained as an affinity, bond, fondness, or even the love for something. Attachment can be totally emotional. Detachment can be explained as separating from something. You may eliminate unwanted baggage in your life by practicing the law of detachment. Sometimes people may say that you are unconcerned or do not care. It is not true. You simply have decided not to participate emotionally. You are allowing whatever to be to unfold. When you are secure within and you know yourself, there is ease in practicing this law. When allowing yourself to be attached, you tend to follow a set pattern or routine. With routine, there is safety. When you realize the routine and face change, uncertainty may ensue. While it may be uncomfortable at first, learning to let go opens the doorway to allow more enjoyable and profitable possibilities to come into your life. And when she does a natural law in her book, she has a quote at the end of each one. This one is by Buddha that she had chosen. It is your resistance to what is that causes your suffering.
That's right.
And so, guess what? I like quotes too. Being a reporter for 20 years will do that to you. And so here's a couple by Joshua Becker. The Minimalist Home, a room-by-room guide to decluttered, refocused life. Quote, picture your dream home. I bet it's not filled with clutter. Minimizing forces us to confront our stuff, and our stuff forces us to confront ourselves. And now I'm going to give you a few clutter clearing strategies which work in all areas of your life. Analyze your situation. What is working, what isn't? Focus on what is important to you, and then create a plan of action. Do you need storage or just organization? Arrange space into activity zones. Set a realistic timetable to finish. And then finally, take action. Finish one zone or room at a time. Put in 4 containers, keep, give away, throw out, and recycle. And that information was provided by the University of Florida Extension Lake County. I actually went and covered a story about this one time. And so as I said earlier, a few years ago I had to downsize because I was moving into a smaller space. My daughter came to help. Knowing my daughter all too well, the first item I showed her was a large school picture of her in a frame in her favorite red and white dress. Of course she loved it, and she said it wasn't fair. She stayed strong, though, for both of us. That day we went to a local Goodwill at least 3 times with both vehicles filled. In total, 30 to 40 boxes left my life.
Wow.
It was hard to let go of some of those things. There was sentimental value, which is a huge factor in all of this. Once we clean something up, get organized and get rid of things that are no longer useful. Doesn't it feel good to accomplish it? I know when I even just clean my desk after a few months, I'm like, yeah. Here's another quote by Peter Walsh. Clutter isn't the stuff in your closet. It's anything that gets between you and the life you want to be living. Let's take a look at body, mind, and spirit in regards to decluttering. Most of us pretty much know what we should be eating and what we should not be eating. An average woman needs to eat about 2,000 calories per day to maintain, and 1,500 calories per day to lose 1 pound of weight per week. An average man needs to eat at least 2,500 calories a day to maintain, and 2,000 calories a day to lose 1 pound of weight per week. That's according to Google. Isn't that great? I don't know about y'all, but I love sweets, including ice cream. It's one of my biggest downfalls. So if you just eat a little occasionally, you have a lesser chance of binging later. And I don't know if I really believe that, but okay. It's also a good idea to exercise daily, whether you go to the gym and hop on the treadmill or walk your block. Exercise is a must. Calorie intake varies based on age, gender, and activity level. One of the best sites to assist in making informed decisions is health.gov, and there's hundreds and thousands of sites about calories and what you should do. The above information about body relates to the mind as well. If you are determined to change, you will. The mind is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their expressions, to think and feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. We have 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. That means 35 and 48 thoughts per minute per person. That's a lot to think about in a day. Just think about how many thoughts are floating around in this room right now. And how many of those thoughts aren't for your highest best? I'm not going to give examples here because we all know what we do to ourselves, and when it comes to our less than good thoughts, just say no. According to the National Science Foundation, 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 95% of the thoughts are repetitive thoughts. Yeah. If we repeat those negative thoughts, we think negative way more than we think positive thoughts. It's easy to drop into the negative when it's all around us. Thoughts are things. Yep. Thoughts are things. I start my day off by saying and visualizing my I am decrees. Has anyone heard of these?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a type of protection. The decrees remind me to put my white light around me. I also say 30 prosperity affirmations 3 times through most mornings. It starts the day off on a positive note. Affirmations only help if you believe them. Some teachers don't agree with them, but if you say them daily, which is a rote learning, you believe them and become them. 4 ways to remain centered, according to Tiny Buddha's website. 1, remain calm. Visualize the outcome you'd like to see. 2, train your subconscious brain to have different default thinking than it does now. And here's a good example of that. Perhaps a driver is going too slow or cuts you off. My response is not always the most pleasant. I train myself to flip the peace sign or verbally send white light to the driver of the car in the vehicle. 3, develop faith that things always turn out okay. Affirmations will help with that. The law of attraction plays into all of this, and the law of vibration. 4, keep your eyes and heart focused on how you can add value to the world each day. Of course, most of us know that a daily meditation practice can help with this as well. Finally, spirit. A force within a person that is believed to give the body life, energy, and power. The inner quality or nature of a person. I learned long ago in one class here that spirit is breath. Kind of makes sense. A force within a person that is believed to give the body life. Here's another definition. The non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. How do we declutter that? Do the inner work, which is about assessing who we are, our actions, and how we deal with them. Taking stresses out of our life seems to be a good start to me. We all know there are higher and lower vibrations. It's our choice as to where we want to live. Meditation again, meditation can help achieve mindfulness. Look at all the natural laws around those statements I just said. Law of attraction, law of vibration, law of cause and effect, and law of forgiveness. How does the law of forgiveness come in? Forgive those around you and forgive yourself. It's time to look inside, see who we truly are, and live accordingly. And so we can declutter just about anything in our lives. Let's look at relationships. We all know that when we become aware that we are on our spiritual path, people fall away from us. They just no longer resonate. Take note of the people in your life. Do they suck your energy out of you when you're around them? Are there people in your life who put you down, make you feel less than in your life? Backstabbers, less than honest people. People who talk badly behind your back. We can all declutter them right out of our life and still send them love and light. Take charge of your life. No matter what we're looking at in life, to declutter, remember, analyze your situation. What is working and what isn't. Focus on what is important to you. Create a plan of action. Do you need a storage or just organization? Arrange space into activity zones. Set a realistic timetable to finish. Or create a weekly menu with nutritious foods. Decide to go to the gym 3 days a week. Decide who is not working for you in your life. Decide how you want to live. And finally, take action. Finish one zone or room at a time. Put in 4 containers. Keep, give away, throw out, recycle. Or clean out your refrigerator and your food pantry and replace it with foods from your new menu. Cut those relationships not needed in your life and find new ones and make the changes. Again, here's the trick to it all. Once you declutter your life, home, body, mind, spirit, relationships, whatever you want, don't let it creep back in. Just say no. Spirit has a funny way of bringing things back to be sure we learned. Stick to the changes. And now that I think about it, one of my friends has another one of my boxes. I brought it over to her place for safekeeping during a hurricane a few years ago. So that's 18 boxes, hon. After the service, let's set a date to go through my closet. And one final thought by Joshua Becker. The first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. Thank you.